crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way.
Good morning, Bix Weir, roadbrew.com. Good morning, Horn of Z's, your sip of chaga coffee. Actually, today I put in adaptogenics, which is like a blend of a whole bunch of mushrooms. The world's going crazy. I have this app on my phone. It's called Space Weather, and it is just literally, it sends me alerts when there's like a solar flare or some kind of solar disturbance or magnetic disturbance or stuff like that. It is literally firing off every 2 minutes. Yeah. And there's a reason, I guess, that I've been doing so much work into the sun and what's going on with the sun and the history of cataclysms. Do I think there is a cataclysm coming? Of course there's a cataclysm coming. It always comes. We just have never lived through one. But it gets to that point. You know, when I talk about spirituality, I talk about being spiritual, eternal spiritual beings, living a physical presence for a time being. We learn what we learn. We go back to our home, which is in the spiritual realm. So there's nothing we can do about like a mini nova. The sun is very active, and it will spit out stuff that accumulates as it creates matter inside the sun. And the sun's going, what, a couple 100,000 miles per hour, and we're being dragged along the back. Basically, everything you learned in science class was wrong. The planets do not revolve around the sun. The sun, there's no way it could, obviously, because the sun is going so fast around the Milky Way. We get dragged behind the sun, spiraling like this. As the sun's going like this, the sun kind of goes like that, and then we get dragged, all the planets get dragged behind. Anyway, every once in a while, it'll burp up something. And I talked a lot about the electrical exchange between planets that happens at times. Cliff gave me some great books on how cataclysms throughout the ages have destroyed civilizations. Obviously, since we can't build the pyramids today, they didn't build them 15,000 years ago. The whole concept of that is pretty stupid when you think about it. So are we coming into a time when the sun is going to be messing with us planetarily? I think so. I mean, my space weather app sure thinks so. But there's nothing you can do about it. And it gives you more of an understanding that we are spiritual beings. And every time I get, clouded up and, oh my God, what's humanity going to do? I sit back and say, oh, that's right. We're just visitors. We're visitors in these pathetic sacks of meat that we call our bodies. And when our time is, everybody dies. That's basically a fact. Although I think some of the elites try to avoid that fact. Everybody dies, but not everybody lives while they're in this body. And I think that's important to understand. Live your life to its fullest. Think about, okay, if I have a short amount of time left, be it a month, be it 50 years, be it 500 years, until the next cataclysm hits and the universe shakes up planet Earth again, what would I do? What do I do? What do I think about? What am I doing what I came down here to do? Can I get it all in before I move back home to the spiritual world? I think that's a better way to look at it. If there's going to be some kind of geological event, earthquakes, volcanoes, whatever, all the spiritual people are talking about that now. So be it. We're all going to die, but we're not all going to live. And you can live starting today. And you can do things that resonate with your body and your soul. Such as, back to planet Earth. I did an interview yesterday with Andy Scheckman, and we talked about silver. We talked about the craziness going on around the world. We talked about how this is probably your last chance to buy silver. Now, I can't give you a day. I can't give you a time. If someone said, well, when should this criminal price suppression of silver end? I would say in the 1850s is when it should have ended. And it has been going on for that long. So silver is all about the elimination of the price regulators and the ending of price suppression. And what that will do to the price of silver, we won't even know it, truthfully. The COMEX will shut down, needs to shut down. Anybody advocating Nesra or Gesra and all that stuff that they made up, or they heard someone else made it up and they believe in it, I think is complete bullshit. Complete, not just kind of, because it doesn't solve any problem. I've read the Nesra Act and the Gesra Act, and all it does is rejigger the percentages of fiat money that people own. It doesn't get rid of fiat money. And that's the key. We need to get rid of fiat money, and there can be no decider in that. We can just allow the system to implode. That's what Alan Greenspan had planned from the 1990s. The reason they didn't put any regulations around derivatives is they wanted to create something so big they knew that once it exploded, it would destroy the entire monetary system, which is the only way to defeat these bad guys. They have all the fiat money. Fiat money is not even an issue to them. What is an issue is the future monetary system. And silver will be involved. Gold will be involved. All the gold in the Grand Canyon, all the gold at Chocolate Mountain, all the gold from Yamashita's gold. There's so much gold out there. Like millions of tons of gold, not 250,000 tons. I don't even know the number anymore. Somewhere around 200,000 tons of gold supposedly had been mined in the world and is above ground sitting in vaults. I think that's ridiculous. It's a silly number propagated by guys like Jeffrey Christian, who somehow got control of the stats. And the World Gold Council is such a joke, it's embarrassing. So yes, I do think there's a hell of a lot of gold, which is great because we can implement it into a monetary system, although it's going to be very difficult to value gold if you don't know how much there is. Silver, on the other hand, I think there's very little of. And I think silver is much more valuable than gold. It's much more useful, obviously. About 60 to 65% of all the silver mined every year is consumed. Believe that. So that ratio of 75 to 1 or whatever it is right now, the gold-silver ratio, will be going to 1 to 1. So I hope that after all these years of me screaming about it, you have made the move and swapped all your gold for silver. All of your gold for silver. I held out and I had 1 ounce for years. I swapped all my gold for silver a long time ago, and then I had 1 ounce left because it was pretty. It was pretty. But, after a while, it's like, why wouldn't I want 75 ounces of silver in my hand instead of 1 ounce of gold when they're equal value? There's about 6 billion ounces of silver in the world, and there's about 6 billion ounces of gold in forms that can be brought onto the market. Meaning, silver, you melt down all your silverware, and you even pull out silver from your coffee and tea sets. That's always been like the best place to find it. But a lot of that was melted down in 1980 with the Hunt brothers. It wasn't the Hunt brothers. When the CFTC stopped silver from being freely priced. Yes, it was the CFTC in 1980. It was the CFTC and friends in the world of J.P. Morgan's market rigging in 2011 when silver went up to $50. It was the CFTC that instigated the Warren Buffett sale of his silver because they threatened to throw him into jail for his General reinvestment. And so Buffett was, blackmailed, I guess. And it was the CFTC that crashed the Bitcoin bubble, as they called it, in 2017, 2018. And it was the CFTC that tamped down the silver rise in February of this year. So it is the regulator that is the impediment for silver or anything reaching its fair market value. The regulator. The American regulator, truthfully. So that's where we stand. All right, check out the interview I did with Andy Scheckman yesterday. It's called "The Silver Market is Broken. Buy All You Can." I do think we're in the last legs where the silver market's about to change in many respects. I don't know about price. I mean, can we have a silver market where nobody can buy any silver at any price, and yet the COMEX still prices it below $25? Absolutely. Silver can be priced at minus $40, just like oil was, because it's a fake market with fake people, fake trades going back and forth. 500 million ounces traded every day. That's bullshit. I was talking to Andy. Andy's one of the biggest dealers. He's not talking even about hundreds of contracts that he trades every year. Who are the legitimate hedgers? There are none. None of the mining companies hedge. Who are the legitimate trades? None of them. Maybe 0.5% of the 500 million ounces ounces of derivative ounces traded on the COMEX. Less than 0.5% are actually legitimate. The rest is bullshit. Jeffrey Christian could kiss my ass with his, oh yeah, it's all the refiners need it and all that. It's bullshit. They don't need to be trading that volume of silver ever. So there you go. Something interesting Andy and I talked about in this discussion was the $200 million reward that the CFTC gave to the whistleblower on JP Morgan. Of course, nobody from JP Morgan went to jail. Why would you pay someone $200 million when nobody went to jail? And don't tell me, well, the CFTC can't put people in jail. That is true. The FBI can, and they're the ones who instigated the investigation. Why didn't anybody go to jail in the JP Morgan criminal action? I mean, from JP Morgan. Yeah, they're going to string out the traders, those traders of those contracts. And it was a bullshit charge too. Spoofing, they have so much more that they can pull. And what about all the emails between JP Morgan and Citibank and HSBC and Deutsche Bank of them colluding that we've seen? I mean, if you need proof, Jeffrey Christian, that the silver market is rigged, all you have to do is look at the emails. Why do I keep bringing up that moron? I don't know. Anyway, Don DeStump, right before they published, the CFTC published that announcement that they paid $200 million to the whistleblower, Don DeStump came out and said, no, we shouldn't be paying all of this. Which makes me think, oh, Jesus, here we go again. Who was the whistleblower, and why did the CFTC, an entity that literally has a budget of $120 million a year, pay out $200 million? Of course, well, they should have got it from JP Morgan's $920 million fine. But why are they paying out on foreign information? And that's what Don DeStump says is the commission today issues a whistleblower award determination based on an enforcement action that led to an order of commission making findings of liability and imposing civil monetary penalty among other sanctions. Parallel actions were brought based on the same misconduct by one, a federal regulator, and two, a foreign futures authority. Now, with a foreign futures authority like that monitors the markets in Europe and England especially, are complete, even worse, bigger frauds than the U.S. So keep that in mind. The Commission is approving a proposed final determination of its claims review staff, a CRS, that would make an award to claimant one based on the monetary sanctions collected, the Commission's enforcement actions, the regulatory actions, and the foreign regulators' actions. I am writing separately to express my disagreement with the Commission's award to claimant one relating to the foreign regulators' action. I would disapprove the portion of the proposed final determination that is attributable to the collection of sanctions by the foreign regulator. And it wasn't necessarily the foreign, I read through this whole thing, it was more that the guy, the whistleblower didn't really do anything. As a matter of fact, she says there's certain parts where he did not disclose information. Sounds like the whistleblower belongs in jail too. But the CFTC, of course, would never do that. What do? They give the guy $200 million. They probably gave it to him so he would sweep it under the rug. Remember, the actions taken against the banks for rigging the silver and gold markets were not what was rigging the markets. It's a tiny part. Spoofing was a tiny part. They had to find someone who would claim that it was just spoofing. And all the other crimes had to be pushed under the table. They found their person, and that person said, well, I'll lie for you if you give me 200 million instead of the 100 million, which they did. So they give this guy $200 million for blowing the whistle. If he was a real whistleblower, Jamie Dimon would be in jail. Blythe Masters would be in jail. They'd all be in jail for a long, long time. Tens of thousands of instances of spoofing. What about all the other stuff? What about the concentration of the J.P. Morgan? What about Bill Daley sitting on Barack Obama's lap during the 2011 spike from $20 to $50 and then back down to $20 and Bill Daley leaves as Obama's chief of staff? What about that stuff? Oh, no, we can't talk about that. Close your eyes. Let's give this guy $200 million. He'll say what we need him to say, and he'll walk away, and he won't tell us about all the rest of the manipulation that goes on. That's my take. But on a good side, the feds are starting to arrest people about the fake Russian hoax. I hope every Democrat out there is so embarrassed that they fell for that bullshit. Imagine, that went on for years. The whole Trump presidency was all about the Russian hoax. And it was all fake. And now they're starting to arrest people. Feds arrest primary Steele dossier source as Durham investigates heats up. This is the second guy. Fed authorities on Tuesday arrested Igor Iggy Dashenko, a Russian national who was the primary researcher for the so-called Steele dossier. Mueller's report didn't even deal with the Steele dossier. It was all fake. Trump had to deal with that shit during it. Trump will go down as the greatest president in the history of the world. When all is said and done, we're going to look back and all of my Democrat friends are going to say, oh my God, I was such a fucking idiot. Why couldn't I see through this? Because you didn't want to see through it. It scares you that he was going to shake up. He was brought in to shake up the deep state and get him out. He did a great job. I mean, the only thing I'm pissed at Trump is he continued the market manipulation, fully condoned. And the only time he tried to, he put the hammer down is when J.P. Morgan tried to destroy the repo market. Then he put the hammer down and charged J.P. Morgan with RICO charges on a separate item because J.P. Morgan was trying to take down the economy so Trump would lose. Why isn't Jamie Dimon in jail? I don't know. Or is he in jail? Who knows? Anyway, so the arrests have started. Will they get down to the Clintons? I don't even think the Clintons are on this planet anymore, in this plane, in the living world. They're long gone, along with a lot of others that I think should be arrested, probably have been already taken out. That's the world we live in. We don't know what's happening, and you're not allowed to know. And then we get this. White House expands vaccine mandate to cover 80 million workers. If you work for a company over 100 workers, Biden is going to mandate by January 4th that you have to get the vax. Wow. Hey, if you want to die, do your homework. Listen to Cliff High. Do not do anything that you don't feel right about because this fake presidency is telling you to do so. Do not do anything that you don't think is right. And I'm not gonna tell you what to do. That's your job. On this planet, it's your job to live. And if you're gonna sacrifice, what was it Ben Franklin said, those who sacrifice liberty for safety deserve neither. I absolutely agree with that. This will surely bring people into the streets like they are in Australia, which is good. Lawrence Lepard on Bitcoin, gold, and the coming crash. This guy, part one of his exclusive Fringe Finance fund manager, Lawrence Lepard, famous guy. He's saying, get ready, gold, Bitcoin's going to go crazy. But the funny thing is, he doesn't understand cryptocurrencies. This is so true of so many of these big money people. They can barely get their head around Bitcoin, so they're saying, yes, oh my God, Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. They close their eyes to all the other cryptocurrencies. Yes, there's a ton of fraud, absolutely. There's a ton of ridiculous coins, Shiba Inu coin, for example, and a lot of coins that are completely illegal because they ICO'd and they shouldn't have ICO'd. Now, whether or not they're going to enforce it or not, I don't know. But there's a ton of coins that are absolutely necessary for our future. I call them infrastructure coins, such as my favorite, Theta and Theta Fuel. That's the most obvious one. The U.S. government doesn't allow patents for cryptocurrency stuff unless it's necessary. And that's exactly what they've done with Theta and Theta Fuel. I think the Theta Labs is on like 6 patents now. Everybody's like, Bix, what about competition? What about when competition comes? There can be no competition with that many patents. But then again, Theta's doing like 10 different things, including, obviously the most important one is the CDN, the Content Delivery Network. That's what it was invented for. But then you got edge computing, you got all kinds of things, the NFTs and all this, and digital rights management. That's a gigantic thing for famous people. They don't want their shit stolen. Theta Labs has a patent on a way to keep the digital rights within the NFTs. Crazy stuff. If you don't have a massive amount of Theta by now, I can't help you. Go back into my last 2 years of videos. There was a reason I've been screaming about it. It's doing well right now too. I have finally. But all the cryptos, not all of them, but most of them are doing well. The Jenny Moonstone crypto that she brought to us, one of her elemental coins, the second elemental coin, is doing very, very well. It has moved up the range. Here it is, Hollow Chain. It's at it was just at $1 or 1.5 cents. Hollow Hot. I love it. It was just a long-term project to me. Decentralized. What is this called? Decentralized cloud. A decentralized cloud. Yeah. So in the cloud, you can keep all your data in a decentralized way. And that's HoloChain. That's what they've done. They've got a patent too, I believe. But yeah, check this out. It's been bumping the last month. Something's going on there over at HoloChain. A lot of the Road to Ruta members bought it, obviously well below the current number. Some bought it higher because it had a spike. And then I just recommend hanging on to it. It's one of those that I think will do very well in the long run. Jenny's had some really good readings on it, and she says there's going to be 4 elemental coins and they're all decentralized. That's the key. The decentralization is the key for the future. Obviously, Theta is the number 1, HoloChain number 2. I'm working on her to get the number 3, and she goes, it'll come when it comes. So keep a tune on at roadtoruta.com on the private road with the Jenny Moonstone readings. I just posted a new one, by the way. Get over there. All right. Silver, what's silver doing? This is the silver chart since the 1970s. This is the Hunt Brothers with the tamp down by the CFTC. This little spike right here was, I think right in here, was Warren Buffett with the tamp down by the CFTC. 2008 was the attempted takedown of the bad guys. So silver got up to over $20. That was an amazing time. And then they slammed it back under 10. All this is derivative trades, by the way. And then we have the 2011 JP Morgan Operation Silver Slam, where they put Bill Daley in as Barack Obama's chief of staff in 2011, so he could allow for the silver price rise to 50 and then slam down to create an artificial bear market. That's where we are now. And then in the last year, I'll show you where Rustam Benham did his little tamp down game right in here. It was going up to $30, and then Rustam Benham said, we had to tamp down the price in February. And that's right when it was called the Wall Street Silver Movement got started. It was really a company called Private Advisors Group, LLC, that was buying SLV shares to the tune of, in January, in the first quarter of this year, they bought 30% of all SLV shares. 30% in one quarter. And then they took delivery, because you could take delivery of, if you have 50,000 shares of SLV, you could take delivery. And so far this year, I wrote it down, deliveries since February, deliveries are at 150 million ounces have been taken out of SLV inventories as deliveries. So the COMEX is no longer the place to watch. It is absolutely SLV. If you're a rich person, buy SLV shares and then take delivery. That's the only way that you can do it outside of the rigged game, which is the CFTC's purview. The SEC watches SLV supposedly, but the CFTC is the regulator for the comics. Crimex, self-regulated. Why is the CFTC even there? It's the comics run by the CME group is self-regulated. I don't know. You got me. Other than they need double protection of the fraud. Anyway, another interesting thing, if you're interested, go to InsideTheVatican.com, and there is a letter from Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano, who is Archbishop. He wrote a letter, and it is the clearest sign that there are people within the church who are trying to save people's lives when it comes to what Joe Biden wants to do to every single person on the planet. Go check that out. Shocking letter, because the Pope has absolutely approved getting the jab. But this letter is amazing. Again, it's at InsideTheVatican.com. And go to the news, and you'll find the letter. It's letter number 136, and you read it, and you'll say, "Oh my God, someone within the church has spoken the truth." That's amazing. It's awesome. Also, on the Road to Ruta right now, we are in the middle of our November sweepstakes. We're giving away $5,000 worth of Theta or Theta Fuel, and like $250, $2,500 of Theta, $2,500 of Theta Fuel. And all you got to do is fill out the form. Now, you get more entries if you're a private road member. I highly suggest that. Or if you're a current Road to Ruta member, you get extra entries as well. Go to roadtoruta.com, and right after the subscription link, there's right at the top is sweepstakes. Bring you to this page. There's a video explaining it all, and the sweepstakes entry form right here. And we will be declaring the winner right after November. Very exciting stuff. Giving back to the Road to Ruta community, who are so awesome to us. I mean, literally awesome. Love my Road to Ruta people, and stay on the Road to Ruta. You can also get a one entry by just filling out the public road update, your name and email, so that you get emails from Road to Ruta. And if you haven't got them, you got kicked off by the system, go back, put your name and email address in. Always stay in touch, because when we get kicked off YouTube in the near future, you can still stay in touch with the Road to Ruta. All right. Good luck out there. This is Bix Weir. I'll talk to you later.